Hello, I am very pleased to be honored to be introducing our speakers. I've recently gotten to know a lot more about Wild Bear Foundation, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time introducing people because I want them to tell you all about it. But the people who are speaking today are Jill Dreves, who is the founder and executive director at Wild Bear Nature Center. She has a long background in working with nature and in education, and she founded this in 1995 and has plugged away with it ever since, and it's just such a wonderful organization. Wait till you hear about it. And Justin Gold, you may remember from lovely chocolate items that he founded and nut butters, and he's been very active with Wild Bear, and in recent years he's lived in Boulder since 2001 and has 2 beautiful children and also is an outdoors enthusiast. So without further ado, I will turn the podium over to them.
Hello there. So I'd like to introduce Jill, but first I'm going to talk about me. But no, I'm kidding. So this is a great opportunity for us to share a really incredible nature organization that not a lot of people know about. And so I think it's my civic duty to make sure you hear about this. Why is nature important, right? So first of all, I think it's why all of us, right, either choose to live here or choose to stay here. And nature just isn't important to look at, outside our window. Being in nature makes us feel good and really do good in the world. And the reason why this is so personal to me is when I think about, why did I start a natural foods company? Why was this important to me at all? And it goes back to my childhood and attending nature organizations and nature camps and growing up in Western Pennsylvania. And that informed me at a really young age to want to go to college and pursue a degree in environmental studies, which then brought me to Colorado to be closer to nature, which then inspired me to start a natural foods company that created products that were good for our bodies and good for our natural environment through sourcing sustainable ingredients and blah, blah, blah. But regardless, I just really feel it's important if we can create those types of interactions with nature, with more kids, more families, more people who move here, just how those little influences can push the needle and I think make this community and world a better place, which is how I got involved with Wild Bear. So I'm at a conference and one day I come home and my daughter Nora is running around the house. She has a stick with some feathers tied with twine and fairy wings running around. And I just walked out from the airport. I'm like, this is amazing, sweetie. Like, where'd you make this? She's like, I made it at Wild Bear today. And when I learned and discovered this organization, this nature center called Wild Bear, it's more than just about nature education. It has to deal with the magic of nature. It brings together art, music, education, and community. And when I learned about this organization, I wanted to learn more. And then when I found out that there's nothing in the Boulder community that's free and open to the public, that's for everyone to come and have an opportunity to visit in nature and combine all these things, I was called to action to help this organization that's 26 years old create its forever home in Nederland, Colorado on, there's all this beautiful acreage which you're about to hear about. And then the real hero of this story is the person I'm about to introduce, Jill. When I met Jill, I was blown away at her dedication to her craft, at her dedication to service in this community. She's a force of nature. She's a fellow entrepreneur. And I just want to introduce my friend Jill Dreves, Executive Director and founder of Wild Bear.
Yes. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Sue, for inviting us today, and to all of you. What a pleasure and an honor to be here. Yes, this is all about nature, but it's also all about children. It's all about you. And so I do have a little fun exercise for you to do. I want you to find a partner, and I'm just going to time you. Stay in your seats. I'm going to time you 1 minute per with your partner. And my question to you to think about is your experiences in nature. And I like to reach back to my childhood. So I will be sharing my story, but I would love for you to share yours. So take 1 minute each, and I'm going to time you. Turn to your neighbor and talk about your experiences in nature as a child. Okay. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And when I say hey, hey, you say ho, ho. Ready? Hey, hey. One more time. Hey, hey. Perfect. All right. I love that. How many of you learned something new? How many of you thought of something you hadn't thought about in a long time? How many of you made you kind of feel good? I heard some cackling over here. Made you feel happy. Nice. So this story that I'm going to tell is my childhood. And, you know, I started Wild Bear 27 years ago when I was 10 years old. But really, it did happen when I was about 10 years old. And I grew up in the mountains of northern Colorado. I was fortunate to live there. We lived on 20 acres, but was surrounded by thousands of wild acres. It was in rural Colorado. And my parents still live there. And we had horses, and my sister and I would ride in the backwoods every day. I'd get up at the crack of dawn, and I would not return. We would not return until nighttime, and my parents had no idea where we were. And we survived. And there was a woman who lived in a trailer house in the back forest who befriended my sister and I, and she was an entomologist. And she had her microscopes and her collections and all of her great naturalist guides. And she took my sister and I out to the forest, and we learned every insect and plant of our backyard, and we became quite fascinated with that. And my sister and I became the grand champion entomologists for the Larimer County Fair 5 years in a row. And so it shaped my life. Those experiences shaped my life. And I became a public school teacher. My sister became a PhD entomologist working with farmers and integrated pest management, trying to get us away from pesticides. And I went into education and became a public school teacher. And I realized after I did a couple of summer stints up at the Vail Nature Center as a naturalist, that actually that was my favorite learning in teaching, was engaging all ages in their backyard. And you know, when I was teaching public school, I couldn't get my pinky toe out the door to bring my kids outside. There were so many other things we had to accomplish. So I took $500 out of my personal savings account in 1995 and started Wild Bear Nature Center. And I knew nothing about nonprofits. I knew nothing about running a business. It was purely from the heart, where I really wanted to share all the great experiences I had as a child. So when I started Wild Bear, I had no idea that in today's world how desperately needed this mission is of getting people engaged in nature. I had no idea that, the research today would say that children today are spending 7 minutes per day in unstructured play outside. 7 minutes. And little did I know that bringing kids out into the wild and letting them explore and guiding their experiences was going to be so critical to their mental health and to the future of this planet. Because the fact is, who will be the future stewards of this planet. And so, you know, research does show that children who play outside are happier, better at paying attention, and less anxious than kids who spend more time indoors. So also little did I know that we would actually be partners with Town of Nederland, Boulder County Parks and Open Space to preserve Mud Lake. So Mud Lake, how many of you have been to Mud Lake? Sweet. How many have ever heard of wild bear? Nice. Great. That's awesome. And so we partnered in 1999 to preserve Mud Lake. It was a trash dump. It was slated for development. And since then, we've also, an adjacent almost 2,500 acres were preserved. So right now, there's 3,000 wild acres, 25 minutes from Boulder. And we, through that partnership, ended up with our own 5 acres. That little orange spot in the bottom is our 5 acres, which is within the town of Nederland. And that is the proposed site of the future nature center. And we were on the ballot in 2000 to get a conservation easement with Boulder County, and it's dedicated space to build a nature center at 8,500 square feet. So this is the trash dump of Mud Lake that we cleaned up. We took 30 tons of trash off that land. 7.5 roll-off dumpsters were removed from that property, and creating it into one of the healthiest wetland habitats of Boulder County. It's Mud Lake. So that's Mud Lake. Within view of Mud Lake is the Arapahoe Glacier, where Boulder's water comes from. So this is where we are now. We're in the shopping center in downtown Nederland. I know some of you have been there. Who's been there? Yeah. Someone was going to wear their shirt today. And that made me feel happy, actually. So this is our current site. It's on a cement parking lot in the shopping center. We rent 4 spaces. We're busting at the seams. And then this is the future nature center vision. So 8,500 square feet on 3,000 wild acres, 16 miles of trail, and opportunities for people to really freely engage with nature. This is the inside of our facility currently. It's a small facility that does big things. We do all kinds of, right now there's 50 kids in the woods today with Wild Bear Nature Center. So we bring kids out into the forest. We do a lot of adult and family programs, and then we have general visitation to the Nature Center. About 25,000 people a year come through the Nature Center currently. So it's limited, this space. We have to shut programs down to run other programs. And you know, through the pandemic, this has been a heightened interest of people to get outside, to learn about their backyard. And honestly, we're seeing an explosion in our organization of really positive, great growth. So the building itself, this is our public program space, our wildlife viewing window. We'll have a nice big space that will seat 200 people for programs. We have classrooms downstairs, a gallery dedicated to exhibits. There's an amphitheater outside, and lots of great opportunities. So it's a proven that interacting with nature builds confidence, creativity, teaches responsibility, reduces stress and fatigue, which we all could use, right? And increases physical health, improves all kinds of problems like sleep problems, anxiety. Oh, you're gonna butt in, are you?
So there's just one thing I want to, we rehearsed this, I'm not just butting in.
I know.
So there's, the thing about this nature center that I think is really compelling you know, buildings don't solve problems, programs do. And we have some issues in this community and in the world. And what I love about entrepreneurship, it's about solving problems. And right now, Wild Bear is bursting at the seams. They don't have the space to grow any more programming. And when they do have a program, they have to close the exhibit center, which is free and open to the public. There's also nowhere really in Boulder County that's ADA accessible, that's in wilderness, that's good for the community. And Wild Bear is going to fix that as well. And the one thing that this organization did that I was a part of that I'm really proud of is we did a 2.5, almost 3 years ago, maybe longer, we did a charrettes in the community, the Boulder community, down at the Boulder Library. And we asked the community, what's missing? What do we need here that we can offer? And then after the community charrettes, we did a feasibility study. You know, what do we think the carrying capacity is for a community? What type of building can we put in this location? And through the whole process, they've been very mindful on what we can do, and then even engaging the right architect that had a really great consciousness around sustainability to build something that not only was a model for programming, but for a model for future development. And so again, it's the programming that I'm really excited about for Wild Bear. That was it.
That's great. So thank you, Justin. So we were fortunate to have hired ARC 11 and our team to develop this plan in 2019. And so through this time, during COVID pandemic, we were hunkered in creating this incredible vision for the Nature Center project. And the plan is, it's free, absolutely free to the public. It's well, this is our site plan. So on the eastern boundary of the site plan is an open nature playscape for kids to play in the wild. It's a wild play area where they make choices to, you know, crawl and hike and jump and build and cooperate. It's a place for parents to hang out and engage as a community, or just anyone to hang out as a community. We have an accessibility committee that's working on all the ADA accessibility features of the trails and the building, and partnering with Boulder County Parks to get an ADA accessible trail from our building to Mud Lake. Yesterday, or the other day, we had a visit from the Colorado Health Foundation, who is very interested in all the health aspects and the accessibility features of this project. So the building itself is a net positive building. In other words, it doesn't take from the earth, it actually gives back to the earth. So it's powered and heated by the sun. It's grid tied, so it'll be providing energy back to the town of Nederland. And it's got a very tight envelope, so actually the temperature inside will remain consistent no matter what the temperature is outside. It's been quite a process in science, because it's actually the highest elevation net zero nature center, open 360 days of the year in North America. And we didn't even know that. This was purely from our own desire to actually give back to nature, not to be taking from nature. We cleaned up the land, and we're building something that'll help people understand the land and take care of the land in the future. So we're getting closer and closer and closer to bringing this dream to a reality. Earlier in June, we had a wonderful native land blessing up there, acknowledging those who were here before us. And we had a huge ceremony with Arapaho and Ute and Lakota Sioux, and this incredible, and the community came together to celebrate this land and focus in on blessing it before we break ground. We actually have a vibrant exhibits team, which Nancy Geyer is on right down here. And the exhibits team is, it has just developed and completed our exhibits master plan. And so this month we are breaking ground. So our timeline is breaking ground this summer. We'll have our foundation in by the end of, well, probably middle of October. And then next year we'll start framing, and then we'll do all the interior work and all the energy systems and everything. So opening for the building will be in October of '24. So this is the eastern entrance to the facility, which is 2 classrooms and a maker space. And this opens right up to our nature playscape. So right now we're year-round. We do a lot of year-round programming. During the COVID pandemic, we offered a lot of free full-day programs for families so that they could get back to work and we could get the kids off the computers and into nature. So that was an incredible project, and we'd like to see our children's programs really expand, our school-age programs, and our plan is to open a forest preschool for 2 to 5-year-olds. Oh, this is our snow school. So we bring schools up to participate with scientists from the CU Mountain Research Station and through NCAR and NOAA, and they learn about snowpack and where your water comes from and winter ecology. And so this is an incredible school that came up from inner city Denver, who came up for free, and that was their very first field trip they'd ever been on, 2nd grade. And it was right before we had to shut everything down. So we're looking forward to bringing them back up. But we have kids from all of school groups come up, but this is going to really expand our school group programming. It's part of our snow school. We do a lot of adult and family programs. So this summer we have Brigitte Mars coming for herbalism. We have mushroom walks, bird walks, snowshoe tours, nighttime hikes. I think we have a full moon hike in September. And so this will really expand our ability to serve all. Right now, going on a bird walk out onto a cement parking lot. Pretty much everything we have has to be transported into the wild. This will really be an amazing opportunity for everyone to get into the wild, and it's free. These programs, though, are part of our pro forma budget of bringing in tuition, fees, and 49% of our youth program is sponsored by donors in scholarship kids. Free and reduced lunch identified. A lot of our programs are arts integrated, so we have, loads of families and kids and we have artists that come in and teach all kinds of great programs. The facility itself will have a nice public art component. Along with our exhibits, we plan to really work with artists to create a lot of our exhibit plan. Because, creativity is really important to us. Creativity in nature, using your brain in that way really is, I think, a character builder, This is our amphitheater. So we have an outdoor amphitheater that will hold, 200 to 300 people in there. We have a solar-powered stage on that. We'll be giving, it's sort of like the Park Service or, providing programs to educate. We have 6,600 cars come through Nederland every day. There's a really solid tourist industry, but there's also a lot of locals that come up, and we need to learn as much as we can about climate change and wildfire prevention and how to coexist with wildlife and all of that. We partner a lot with Colorado Parks and Wildlife for a lot of our current wildlife programs. So that's a huge opportunity for us to expand programming. We have an observation deck up the top. That's a wildlife viewing window. This is our annual Enchanted Forest. Has anybody heard of the Enchanted Forest? Okay, well now you're going to know about the Enchanted Forest. So it's what Justin spoke to before, but this is an incredible magical event that brings people from all the way to 1,000 people show up last year. It's the last Saturday of September 24th. And that's when we get people on the trails and they meet up with all these animals that talk about how we can peacefully coexist, help them survive, and the kids get little goodie bags and goodies in their things. So this takes a community. We have incredible volunteers and donors who have given so much time and resource to this. This would not exist without the most amazing, dedicated support that we've had. I feel very honored to be working with Justin and our whole team, our capital campaign committee. Donna's back there, she's our building development chair. But it's really more than me. It's really a community of people that are passionate about this project. So, just to give you this this collaborative effort, this project is a $9 million campaign. We're at $5.4 million from 75 people. Not bad. Including Gates and Betcher and El Palmar is discussing us this August. We have the Kaiser Foundation and Colorado Parks and Wildlife. We had the tap and PIF fees waived from the town, and we have a pro bono contractor in Tom Stanko, who's part of Harrington Homes.
Yeah, I know we're going a little long.
Are we?
There's two opportunities. Nothing is going to explain this better than walking this site. And there's two opportunities for you guys to come up here. Actually, you can come up whenever you want. They're open 365. But there's two opportunities. One is July 31st, which is a Sunday. We're going to do a groundbreaking. We did a land blessing, which gave us now, I think, permission to break ground. It's going to be a smaller kind of community event. If you'd like to come, please let us know, and we'll put you on our invite list. And the must-do is what Jill mentioned, the Enchanted Forest. It's the last Saturday, September 24th, and I'm going to paint a picture for you, right? Bring your kids, your grandkids, your nephews, nieces, but there's a half-a-mile trail that's built out, and along the trail are these people dressed in these animal costumes. And one year I was a fox, another year I was a salamander. And these animals talk about, their relationship to that natural environment and how they breed and what they eat and what they do. And these kids walk up, and some kids walk up and they're like, I know you're not real. I see your shoes. What are you doing? And other kids will, oh my God, Mom. And it's a really fun event, and there's face painting, and there's music, and there's arts and education, and it really ties everything together for the community. People come from all over the state, which is really cool to see. So September 24th, definitely mark on your calendars. If you want to learn anything more about the Nature Center, the campaign, anything, please, Mike, Jill, and I will be here. We'd love to talk about it. I've made it kind of a few years of service for me to make sure that our community gets something like this. But thank you so much for your time.
GoWild.wildbear.org. Oh, can I put it back up to that video? I'm going to do that video. There we go. And it doesn't have the sound. Let me make sure. Okay. Oh, I didn't. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. Yes. What? Yes. Questions? Yes.
Okay. I remember you came here to Rotary, not right here, but years ago, and spoke to us. So I feel an affinity towards you. So how long ago was that you came here? Do you remember?
Maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to think I did a bear program.
Yeah, and I think we, as a club, were part of that somehow or another.
I don't remember who invited me.
Okay.
I should know that.
Just trying to catch up with history with my memory.
Thank you. This is a pleasure to be here.
Thanks so much for coming to speak with us.
Yeah.
When will the building be finished? Sounds like groundbreaking is starting soon. When do you anticipate it'll be done and open?
Well, in the best case scenario, we anticipate late September, early October 24. So 2 years. That's our plan. We do have kind of a moving target with supply chain, and you know, we're working so hard on all of this, and so our plan is to stay on timeline.
The programming, which has really been emphasized here, is fascinating to me, particularly for the younger children. And you showed a slide of some second grade children from Denver. I guess my question is, how do schools know? I mean, you know, this ought to be a part of every school's curriculum, and every school ought to have an opportunity to get up here. And how do you publicize that, and can that happen?
I think like everything with Wild Bear, you know, aside from doing our best to get the word out like this, it's really within the schools and individual teacher signing up for our programs. You know, school districts are limited in funding also. I mean, they don't fund, unfortunately, these kinds of things really, generally. I mean, unless you have a partnership with the school district. So, you know, I think as we get this open and all of that, I think that it's going to be hard not to know, you know. I think it's going to, and it's really word of mouth. You know, a teacher that, a classroom, or we have a newsletter that you can sign up for, and a lot of teachers are on the newsletter, and our staff is calling every teacher in the classrooms to get them signed up right now. So, because they shut down all field trips last year and the year before, we had no opportunity. So it's kind of rebuilding now, that whole get out there and do other things besides be in your classroom or on your computer. I hope that answered your question. Yeah, it is a challenge. But there's a highlighted page on our website, wildbear.org. This is the gowild.wildbear.org. They're both all on the same website, but there's a whole page that if you were interested in taking a look at all the different programs we do for schools, it's pretty robust.
We have a question online from Nancy Chin Wagner. Would you like to unmute yourself, Nancy?
Okay. Thanks for presenting this. I mean, I go to Caribou all the time, and I totally missed this. I don't know. Maybe there was not a sign, but it's absolutely beautiful. I think what you're doing is fabulous. And my question to you is, do people need to sign up for the one that's on September 24th for your Enchanted Forest, or just come? And number two is, do you have a flyer or something? Because I would love to put it on my social media.
Well, that's great. So the Enchanted Forest, if you sign up for our newsletter on wildbear.org, you will be privy to every aspect of Enchanted Forest, along with all the other things. We have a really cool pop-up gallery that's happening at the Nature Center in support of our local fire departments. So there's a lot of different things to get involved with. The pop-up gallery is with Earth Connected Artists. So we try to connect the arts. But the Enchanted Forest will be, you'll have to purchase tickets. I can't recall, Mike, what the prices are in advance. But it's a fundraiser for Wild Bear. It's, I think, $10 per person in advance and 12 day of. So it's a really reasonable price. We give a lot of free tickets away too. If there's a family that you know can't afford that, we can get them on the list. But yeah, we'd love to have you share all that on social media. Please do, and that's how it all happens.
Thanks, Jill.
Mm-hmm.
Any more questions in the room? Oh.
What kind of collaboration might you have with the Thorn Institute?
Great question. Because Thorn, they are a great long-term environmental education organization in Boulder County. They serve City of Boulder and Eastern Boulder County. And so we do some partnering just in terms of brainstorming and planning together and everything. We're kind of the mountain ecology part of things, and they're more the plains, foothills part of things. So, but we completely admire and appreciate and know that we'll do more partnering once this building is open with Calwood and with Thorn. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
Jill and Justin, I want to thank you so much for coming and presenting this to us. I'm a kid who grew up in the foothills outside of Boulder, so this is near and dear to what my thoughts about how life should be lived are. So I'm really glad you guys are doing this, and I'm looking forward to hoping to maybe volunteer with you sometime. As you may or may not know, Rotary has been involved for over 35 years in a project to eradicate polio in the world, and we are really, really close. The pandemic slowed things down a little, but hopefully we'll get back to where we were. And because of that, we want, in your honor, to donate 100 doses of polio vaccine to the Polio Plus Fund.
Oh, wow.
And again, thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that's wonderful. Wow, good work, too. Good work. Thank you. Okay, well, we really feel honored to be here. Thank you so much. Go to our website, wildbear.org, sign up for the newsletter. You can also do that right there. Our 3D model is there. We have renderings and lots of great literature if you want to take more and learn more. And thank you. My email is jill@wildbear.org if you feel like you want to email out any other questions or thoughts. We appreciate being here. Thank you.